All right, let's dive into something that's really got people talking, dating for older adults.
And it's really interesting to see, how this topic has become so mainstream.
It really is. I mean,
Yeah.
look at all the buzz around this new Netflix show, The Later Daters.
Right.
It premieres November 29th, executive produced by Michelle Obama.
Yeah, and I think it's really going to spark a lot of conversation.
It seems like everyone is talking about this,
Yeah.
but even before this, The Golden Bachelor was a massive hit.
Huge, yeah.
I heard that finale drew 6 million viewers.
Over 6 million, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it topped even recent seasons of The Regular Bachelor, which is...
That's incredible. That's a lot of people interested in this.
It really is.
So why are we so fascinated by older adults dating?
Well, I think a huge part of it is just, the growing older adult population in the U.S.
Right.
The baby boomers are entering their golden years, and they're not exactly, ready to just fade away.
No, definitely not.
They're looking for love and companionship just like anyone else.
Right, yeah.
And I think that's something that the later daters really taps into.
How so?
Well, it follows six divorcees and widowers,
Okay.
all between 56 and 71, as they navigate the dating scene in Atlanta.
I've heard a lot of people say this show is a lot more real than other dating shows.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of the appeal, right? It's not all about the manufactured drama and the over-the-top personalities.
Yeah.
It's really trying to show what it's like to find love later in life, with all the challenges and the triumphs that come with it.
Yeah, it's definitely a different approach.
For sure. I mean, they even include perspectives from family members,
Oh, wow.
and there's a relationship coach who's guiding the participants, which
Interesting.
adds a whole other layer to the show. It's like,
Yeah, you don't usually see that in those kinds of shows.
exact.
It seems like they're really trying to show all sides of this experience.
They are. And I think it's resonating with people because, we all know someone who's going through something similar, whether it's our parents, our grandparents, or even ourselves.
You're right, it's a very relatable topic.
For sure. And it makes you think about the challenges of dating at any age, but especially for older adults.
Yeah, the dating landscape has changed so much.
It has. It's completely different than it was even a decade ago.
It's true, so much of it is online now.
Oh, absolutely. The rise of dating apps and online platforms has been a game changer, but it's also created a whole new set of challenges, especially for older adults who might not be as familiar with those technologies.
Yeah, the whole new world to navigate.
It is. And then, of course, you have to deal with the anxieties of putting yourself out there, the fear of rejection, the vulnerability that comes with opening yourself up to someone new.
Those feelings don't just go away as we get older, do they?
No, not at all. And in some cases, they might even be amplified.
Why is that?
Well, think about it. Many older adults are re-entering the dating scene after years of being in a committed relationship or marriage.
Okay, yeah.
And that can be a really daunting experience. There's this sense of like starting over and maybe even some grief and loss to process.
And then you have societal expectations on top of that.
No, absolutely. Ageism's a real issue in the dating world.
How so?
Well, older adults often face discrimination and prejudice based on their age.
Oh, wow.
They might be overlooked or dismissed because of perceptions about their physical abilities or even their desirability.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate.
It is, and it speaks to the larger issue of how our society views aging.
Yeah, we've got a lot of work to do in that area.
We do. And I think shows like The Later Daters can help to challenge those stereotypes and open up a broader conversation about what it means to age gracefully and authentically.
Right, because it's not like our desire for connection just disappears as we get older.
Exactly. And this show is a great example of that. These individuals are vibrant, they're engaged, and they're actively seeking out love and companionship.
It's inspiring to see.
It is. And it's also a reflection of a larger trend that we're seeing, this rise in what's called gray divorce.
Gray divorce.
Yeah, it's basically the increasing rate of divorce among older adults.
Oh, wow.
In fact, the percentage of divorced older adults has nearly tripled since 1990.
Tripled. Wow, I had no idea it was that prevalent.
Yeah, it's a significant shift, and it's creating a whole new demographic of older adults who are single and looking to connect.
And that brings us back to the question of what they're looking for in a relationship.
Exactly, and I think that's what's so fascinating about this topic. Their motivations and desires can be quite different from those of younger generations.
How so?
Well, marketing expert Jeff Weiss points out that older adults may be seeking companionship, someone to share experiences with, or perhaps they're hoping for a romantic partnership.
Oh.
But it's not always about finding the one. in the traditional sense.
Yeah, I can see that.
They've already had those experiences, and their priorities might have shifted.
Right.
It's more about finding someone who complements their lives and brings them joy, rather than fulfilling societal expectations.
Exactly. It's about finding someone who truly fits with who they are now at this stage in their lives.
Precisely. And
Yep.
I think this is where shows like The Later Daters can be so valuable.
In what way?
They offer a glimpse into the diverse range of experiences and motivations within this demographic, helping to challenge those preconceived notions we might have about older adults and dating.
Yeah, it's like they're breaking down stereotypes and showing us that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to love and relationships, regardless of age.
Exactly. And it really challenges our assumptions about what dating is supposed to look like.
Yeah, because we're constantly bombarded with these messages about what a successful relationship should be.
Right.
But those ideals, they don't always reflect what people actually want.
Especially as we get older and our priorities change.
Yeah, it's like we're always comparing ourselves to this imaginary standard,
And those standards can be really limiting.
especially for older adults.
Yeah, they might feel pressure to conform to these outdated ideas about what's appropriate for their age,
Right, like society's telling them to just fade into the background.
when in reality, they're just as interested in connection and fulfillment as anyone else.
Exactly. So it seems like representation, like what we see in the later daters, is so important
It is. It really is.
because it helps to broaden the conversation.
Yeah, it normalizes the idea that love and companionship aren't limited to younger generations
Right, and it shows the unique challenges that older adults face.
in a world that often prioritizes youth and beauty. Yeah.
So, what are some of the specific hurdles that older adults might encounter in the dating world?
Well, for one, many of them grew up in a time when technology wasn't so prevalent.
Oh, right.
So navigating the world of online dating apps can be a really steep learning curve.
That's a good point.
It's like a
Yeah.
whole new language.
And then, of course, there's the issue of ageism that we talked about.
Oh, absolutely. That's a huge factor.
How does that manifest in the dating world?
Well, older adults might be overlooked or dismissed based on their age.
No.
People make assumptions about their physical abilities or even their interests.
It's like they're being judged before they even have a chance to connect with someone.
Exactly. And that can be really disheartening.
It sounds like a tough landscape to navigate.
It can be, but there are resources out there.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, senior centers and community organizations often have social events geared toward older adults.
Okay, so it's about finding those spaces where they can connect with like-minded people.
Exactly. And there are also dating apps and websites specifically designed for the over 50 crowd.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so there are definitely options out there.
But even with those resources, it must take a lot of courage to put yourself out there.
Oh, absolutely. Especially if you've experienced heartbreak or loss in the past.
It's about being vulnerable and opening yourself up to the possibility of getting hurt again.
And that's something that The Later Daters really captures well.
How so?
It doesn't shy away from those vulnerabilities.
Right.
It shows the participants grappling with their past experiences, their insecurities,
Yeah.
and ultimately their hopes for the future.
And that's something we can all relate to.
Exactly, regardless of our age.
It's that universal desire for connection,
To feel seen and understood.
to share your life with someone.
And that doesn't go away as we get older.
So it seems like these conversations about older adult dating are really important
They are, and they need to happen more often.
because it's about breaking down stigma.
Creating a more inclusive and accepting environment for people of all ages.
Exactly. And recognizing that love and companionship aren't limited by age or societal expectations.
It's about celebrating the richness of human experience throughout the lifespan.
Now, while the show focuses on older adults, are there any lessons here for everyone?
Oh, absolutely.
What would you say are some of the key takeaways?
Well, one of the biggest ones for me is the importance of being authentic.
Okay.
True to yourself, no matter what stage of life you're in.
I like that.
The participants in The Later Daters, they're not trying to pretend they're younger
Right.
or fit into some mold.
They're embracing who they are.
Exactly. Wrinkles and all.
And that's a powerful message.
It is, and it's something we could all stand to be reminded of.
Another thing that struck me was the emphasis on communication and vulnerability.
Oh, absolutely. That's key in any relationship.
These participants, they're so open about their fears, their hopes,
Yeah, their past experiences.
and that kind of honesty is essential for building trust.
It creates a safe space where you can truly be yourself.
And that's something we all crave, right?
We do. It's a basic human need.
So do you think shows like this can actually help to shift societal perceptions of aging in relationships?
I hope so. I really do.
Because if we see more diverse and realistic portrayals of older adults
It can start to break down those stereotypes.
and create a more accepting and understanding culture,
Exactly. It's about challenging those outdated narratives.
and embracing the beauty of aging.
Because aging is a natural part of life.
And it doesn't mean that our capacity for love and connection diminishes.
In fact, our experiences can actually enhance those connections.
Yeah, it's like we're finally starting to see older adults as, you know, whole people with their own desires and dreams.
Exactly. And that includes romantic desires and dreams.
Right. And speaking of, desires and dreams, one thing I keep thinking about is the role of technology in all of this.
Oh, absolutely. Technology has completely changed the game when it comes to dating.
It really has.
I mean, on the one hand, it can be incredibly empowering, especially for older adults who might be facing mobility issues or live in rural areas.
right, it can connect them with people they might never have met otherwise.
Exactly. Online dating apps and social media platforms can provide a sense of community and connection that might be lacking in their everyday lives.
But then there's also the potential for downsides too, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's the risk of isolation and superficiality.
Right, it's easy to get caught up in the swiping and the matching and forget about the importance of real human connection.
And then there's the whole issue of catfishing and scams, which,
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
yeah, older adults can be particularly vulnerable to those kinds of things.
So it's kind of a double-edged sword.
It is, but I think the key is to approach online interactions with caution and to be aware of the potential risks.
And to remember that technology is just a tool, right?
Exactly. It's how we use it that matters.
So we've been talking a lot about dating, but I think this conversation about aging and connection has a lot of broader implications too, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's about challenging ageism in all its forms
Creating a society where older adults are valued and respected.
and empowered to live their lives to the fullest.
And that includes their romantic lives.
Sure.
So what can our listeners take away from all of this, from our deep dive into the world of older adult dating?
Well, I think the most important thing is to remember that love and companionship aren't limited to any particular age group.
It's about embracing the journey
Being open to new experiences.
and challenging those outdated societal norms that tell us how we should behave or feel at a certain age.
Exactly.
And if you're out there looking for love, don't give up hope.
There are resources available, communities to connect with,
And who knows, maybe the later daters will inspire some meaningful conversations.
and a new generation to embrace the possibilities of love and connection no matter what stage of life they're in.
That's a great thought. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive.
Yeah.
We hope you've enjoyed listening and that you've learned something new.
And maybe even challenge some of your own assumptions.
If you're interested in learning more about older adult dating, be sure to check out The Later Daters on Netflix.
Premiering November 29th.
And until next time, keep an open mind, stay curious, and never stop exploring the possibilities.
And happy dating, everyone.
Yes, happy dating.